Well, welcome back to the 2001 Buick Park Avenue today. I already did the front valve cover gasket on this. I'm going to do the rear today. It's a little more involved, just more stuff to get off on top of it and get to it. Not difficult, just takes a little more time. But one of the things that I had to remove is the front bracket, and that front bracket that the alternator sits on has two coolant elbows that connect into the engine. Those on this 3.8 liter are notorious for going bad. They're plastic. They end up dry rotting and cracking. Mine are not leaking as far as I know. But since I have to pull that apart to get to this back valve cover gasket, I'm going to replace them with a new set. And they make aluminum ones for them. These are 47065 HP. Basically Dorman, not a big Dorman fan, but in this case these actually work pretty well. They're aluminum instead of plastic. If you ever have to do these and you have to replace these coolant elbows, get the aluminum ones so you don't have a problem with the plastic ones cracking. So we'll do that as well. It's kind of a 2-for-1 here. I might split it into 2 videos. I don't know yet. We'll see how it goes. But I'm going to drain the coolant out of this. This has been sitting overnight. It's cool. I'm going to disconnect the battery because we do have to mess with the alternator. I don't like to have power. Not a good thing when you're messing with that stuff. So we'll do that, and then we'll go through getting everything off of here, out of the way of the back valve cover, replacing the gasket and putting it back together. So we're going to go down underneath here and drain this radiator. This is cool. It's been sitting overnight, so I don't have to worry about any pressure in the system. We're going to pull this bottom shield off of underneath the front of the car. Just push pins that are in it. The drain is right here, driver's side. I believe that's 19 millimeter maybe. So we're going to come in here and we're going to undo this belt, get it out of the way, because we do have to take the alternator and the bracket that it sits on, which has the two coolant elbows, which we're going to replace as well. That has to come off. It sticks over the back of this head, and you can't get the valve cover off without it. So we're going to get these hoses out of the way. We have 15 millimeter here, 10 millimeter down here, 15 millimeter to undo the belt. So we're going to come in here and undo the belt, 15 millimeter on the pulley. My hand's probably right in the way of that, but we're just going to go the right way and actually release the tension on it. I got a long wrench. You can see it's a little bit of a struggle, but it's not too bad. Release that belt. We're not going to take it all the way off. We're just going to kind of lay it out here, out of the way. That's all we need to do. So now we can get at this bracket here, these coolant hoses down here, coolant hoses. They're not hoses, they're 90-degree plastic. You'll see when we get them out of there. Undo this alternator. I think it's a 15 as well. We'll get a 15 on that. This bracket out of the way. Just killed my light. Keep some light on it for you. Like I said, I use air tools when I can. If you have them, use them. If not, you can do this by hand. It just takes a little longer. And a 10 millimeter on the bottom. This bracket here. Just set that out of the way as well. Little bolt. Take that bracket out. Set it aside. Just got to get out of the way. So these hoses are just in the way. I have a feeling somebody was in here, and these are really long. He's in here doing something, but we'll just unclip them, kind of get them up out of the way here, just out of our way as much as we can. tie them back up later. And they're just kind of like a really long. I don't know why they did that, but whatever. Doesn't really matter. We'll just put them out of the way there. We're going to have to undo these 3 spark plug wires. We'll undo them, get them out of the way, but first I want to get this alternator unhooked. It looks like it's a 10 millimeter as well. Let's undo that. Okay, undo this connector here. Just pull up on the tab, undo that connector, electrical connector. That's everything for the alternator. I don't think we have to undo the alternator itself. I think we have to just get the whole bracket that it sits on out of here. So we're going to do that. They're 15 millimeter. Let's see if you can see these, but buried in here, underneath here. You see my finger. There's one there. There's one down behind underneath of this. When you release the tension on this tensioner, it's low enough that you can get at it. And I think there's one more in here. I have to look. I believe there's one more buried here somewhere. We're going to take a look and find out, but I'm going to get those 2 first. It's kind of hard to show you this, but there's just 2 15 millimeter bolts in here. I think they're 15. Yeah, they are. So just get a wrench in there, or wrench. Get a ratchet on them. You might need an extension. I don't think I do for this one. That's it. I don't think I can get a stubby impact in there. If I could, I would, but I don't think I can fit mine in there. This one, I can't even see it, so you're definitely not going to see it. I have to go by feel here. Hard to even see it, but it's there. It's definitely there. Let me get a little short extension for this. There's 2, both the same size. Don't have to worry about where they go back. I believe there's one more. Let me go get my mirror and take a look. See if I can find another one hiding here somewhere. Yeah, it's right down underneath, all the way down at the bottom here. Buried. You're not going to be able to see it, but it's basically at the bottom of this bracket. No, I'm not helping you here, because at the bottom of the bracket we're taking off. You can see it with the mirror. 15 millimeter. We've got to take that one off too. Well, not a lot to show you right now. It's kind of hard for me to even see this, so you're not going to be able to see it. So pull it out, check it against the length of the other ones. All 3 of those bolts are the same length. So the bracket hasn't really moved. And the reason it hasn't moved is simply because those coolant elbows are holding it in place right now. It's the only thing that's holding it. I'm going to show you try to show you a little bit of a close-up. I can show you one for sure. So if you look down in here, let me see if I can show you this. Right down underneath, there's one right here. That's one that goes into the front of the intake. There's another one back here. It's at the very bottom of this bracket. You can't really see. It's right below the tensioner pulley, and it goes in. So they're the only thing that's really holding this in place right now. It's just they're pushed into that block and holding that bracket in place. So we'll see if we can. I think that's it, though. Yeah, it's pretty loose. See how it's moving around. So I'm going to get my pan, because when I pull these out, I expect there to be some fluid, and it's going to drain out of there. And I'm going to try to keep it from getting all over my garage. All right, so I got a couple of wiring harnesses I'm probably going to have to undo here. But for now, I'm just going to wiggle this off the front and just try not to break those coolant hoses. We're going to replace them, those coolant elbows. I keep saying hoses, but I mean elbows. We're going to try to wiggle them out without breaking them, because for the top one's out, I can feel it. Because break them, you just got to fish them out when you break them off. So I'm going to try to just wiggle that out. So I got some leak, a little bit came out, not a lot though. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect these hoses to this bracket, and that way I don't have to mess with this wiring harness as much and just get this out of the way. All right, so instead of fighting this, I'm just going to take this alternator off of here. We're just going to zip this alternator off of here and get it out of the way. I was hoping not to have to do that, but I just think it'll be easier. We just break it loose and take it off of here. Different bolts. Horizontal bolt for the alternator is much longer than the vertical, and we'll have to undo this right here, this top stud. All right. Looks like messing with it. There you go. So now I can take this alternator out of here and get it out of the way. You'll be able to see this better. So here's my bracket that I had to get out. Rather than mess with it, because I've got plenty extra, I'm going to cut it back. I'm just going to cut them off for now. I won't come back to it. Just cut these hoses off. Once we get it out of here, we get better, a lot easier to get at it. We'll then peel that off, clean it up, and reattach the hose. I don't know how long this hose has been on here. It's been on here a while. Trying to cut myself in the process here. There we go. There's the bracket. So you can see the end of this. All I'm going to do is just the hose has plenty of length, so I'll just peel this off. We'll just cut it back right here. We'll just take this, cut it back, peel it off of there, clean it up, and reattach the hose. Just do that so you can see there's some corrosion in there. Around this, we'll just clean it up with some Scotch-Brite or something. Same here. All I do is slit them with a blade. Try to knock the camera over at the same time. Just slit them. Once you get them slit, then you just push them off usually. Got slit all the way through. This one's even worse. There you go. Just unpeel it. We'll clean them up before we put it back together so they don't leak. And that's it. That's the bracket we had to get off. And here are those two coolant ovens. So this goes this way, right? This is facing 90 degrees into the front of the intake. This one's down into the water pump. Goes into the water pump, basically. We're going to want to make sure that where these go into, we want to make sure that they're clean. So these didn't break. And I can see the water pump one's nice and clean. We'll just reach in there with a rag and clean it out. And I'll take a quick look. Can't really see it. I gotta get my light here. At the one at the block. It's got to be cleaned out. The actual gasket. Let's see, this broke. This actually broke. This is what happens with these. This is why they're a pain. There's more to this. It sticks out probably another 1/4 inch. This is where the gasket was, and my guess is this is where I was getting a leak. I was getting a real small leak. I'm gonna have to reach into that and get a pick. I'll try to show you camera exactly where it is on the camera, and I'm gonna have to actually pry that out and make sure I get all the pieces out of it before we put the new ones in. But we'll just set that aside for now, and we'll move on to getting the rest of the stuff out of the way to get this head gasket, this head cover off. Not head gasket. We're not doing a head gasket. It's a whole different thing. We're just doing a valve cover gasket. All right, set these hoses now. I can just set these out of the way, I hope. Without losing my clamps. All right, set them over there. So this is what we're trying to get to this whole time, basically, back in here. This valve cover gasket. We're going to undo the plug wires. Reach down in here and get a hold of them. Should be able to, I think. Hard to get to them. They're just hard to reach. There man. Oh, all right. There's a bracket back here, which sticks up right here. We're gonna have to take that off. It's probably a 13 millimeter. I don't know for sure, but I can feel them. I just can't see them. So we'll get that out of there. Get that taken care of. All right, here's the other bolt nut, I should say. There's the bracket that has to come off. All right, almost there. Now I just gotta get these, can't find my spark plug wire, my spark plug pliers. There's one, got one. It's number 6, should be. Get that up out of the way. I don't know how much of that you can see, but here's what we want to get at right here. It's pretty much ready to come out. These bolts are 3/8. Don't ask me why they're not metric, but they're not. Doesn't make any sense to me either, but it is what it is. These are not that tight. They don't get tightened that much, 89 inch-pounds. So we use 1/4 inch drive, just to make it a little easier to get into them and get these off. The grommets will hold them. You just want to back them all the way out. Make sure they're all the way out of the head. And then the grommets that are in the valve cover will hold them in place for you. Just break them loose. See if there's anything else in the way. Well, it's got a good stick to it. You get this plastic, so be careful with it. Don't break it. Now, the valve cover is actually plastic or resin, so if it's sticking on you, don't wail on it. You'll just break it. Just trying to see. I'll make sure that there's. What's holding me up here? Oh, you know what it is. There's one bolt. There's one bolt buried on the top that I missed. So that's why you don't wail on them, because you'll just break stuff. So it's buried under a bracket up by the middle fuel injector on the back side of the engine. All right. Get this out of here now. I just got to figure out how I'm going to get it out. Alright, so kind of tip it this way, get this driver's side, tip that down enough, and you can peel it off of there. It'll only come out one way, and you can see how it holds these bolts in. These bolts don't come out. These grommets, we're going to replace these grommets. We're going to clean this all up. We're going to clean the mating service back in here. I'll kind of show you a close-up of that as well. But that's really the hard part, I hope. It really is, though. It's the hard part, is just getting everything out of the way to get at it. Here's the gasket still sitting on the top of the valve, top of the head there. I'll just kind of give you a little shot of that. I know it's kind of hard to see. There's not a lot to see with this. I mean, it's just everything is buried. I'll show you down in there. So there you go. That's what you got. So we're going to go in there. We're going to clean it really good. I mentioned this in my other video about the front valve cover gasket when I did it. This engine's got 162,000 miles on it, and it is clean. They did the oil, they changed the oil, and they're supposed to. It's a clean engine. You can see I got to get back in there. We're just gonna go in there probably with a Scotch-Brite. We'll put some towels in there. I don't want to get all that garbage down into the head. And we'll use brake clean, and we'll go around this whole gasket. We'll clean it up really well. Clean the valve cover itself, put the new gasket on there, and put it back in place. And here you can see, here's the one hole right. Let me see if I can show it to you. It's kind of hard. Kind of hard to show. Man, nothing is where you can see it today. So right here, I'll show you right there. There's the one inlet for the one elbow, and under here, way down in here. Way in there, right there,
There's the other one, and it's got garbage in it still, which I have to go in and clean out. And you can see that O-ring still in there, and a little bit of the. So I'll reach in there with a 9-degree pick, and we'll make sure we get that all out of there and clean it up before we put the new one together. Nothing exciting. Just got to be done. So I forgot to turn the camera on, so you missed me taking that one elbow out. But it broke, as I expected it would. Broke right behind the O-ring, and I had to fish it out with a 90-degree pick. Use a little brake clean, sprayed it out, cleaned it out. So these are the new ones, metal. Get the metal ones, don't get the plastic ones. So one of the metal ones is different color. That's for this bottom one. So this is the end, goes on the engine like this. This is the bottom one. That goes in here. It's a little bigger housing. So, well, you can see. That one's purple. Same thing, purple. Match it up. See if this one comes out without breaking. Last one came out and broke when I was getting it out of there. This one may be one piece. Ah, I got it out in one piece. There it is. All right. Now we're just going to go clean. We got to clean this off. You can use, brake clean, or I have super clean here somewhere. I have a bottle of it, spray bottle. I'll use that. I'm going to pop these out. You can pop these grommets out of here. They'll just pop out and get a hold of them. I'll show you. We'll just get a hold of them and pull them. They should come right out of here. Come on. Yeah, pop them out. Alright, we'll go clean this up. Clean the mating surface for it, and we'll come back. You don't need to watch that. It's kind of boring. Alright, so I've cleaned this off really well. So I put my grommets back in, so we'll put them back in. I've taken my old ones apart, cleaned the bolts with brake clean, make sure they're clean. We're just going to push these into place. Once you set that in there, you're going to take the bolt and just push the bolt through it. Once you do that, they won't come out. They won't come out. They'll stay put. Four go on the bottom of the valve cover towards the back. These are the top. So I'll set that down. I'm going to put my gasket in place here. My new gasket. On this gasket is a little tab on one of the, right here. That little tab sticking out. There's a matching tab on that. Right on that one. It can only go one way. So put that tab up. Fits right into that hole. And you can work it around. That gives you your really where it needs to line up with. Alright. So I've got my, I don't know how much this I'm going to, it's really hard to get a spot to show you this very well, but I have put a little blue thread locker on these threads just so they don't vibrate loose. Gasket, obviously the valve cover is cleaned up, new gasket's in place here. We're just going to fish this back in and get it back in place, and I don't know how much of this you're going to be able to see. It's just not a good spot for a camera. But get it lined up right here. There we go. They're not that hard to get back in there, so I'll just go by hand here first. 89 inch-pounds for these. The one in that back corner, I don't think I'll get a torque wrench on. The rest I will. Right now, I'm just going to run them all in and get them started by hand. Okay, just start here. I'm just hitting with 50 inch-pounds. Inch-pounds, not foot-pounds. About half of what I need. There's 50. So I'll go crisscross to the bottom one here. On there. Come on. Gotta get that first. So now I go back around a second time at 89 inch-pounds. 89 inch-pounds. once again, start in the middle and work our way out. All right, 2 hoses to put back on here, but first I'm just going to try to wiggle this in place and get my coolant elbows lined up. Yep, that's in. That's in. I should be able to start a couple bolts here. Pull it in. I gotta move you again. Try to get you in a spot here where I can prop you up. Maybe show you what's going on. Okay, good. All right. Get my hoses up here and get them connected. Just slide it on there easier, that's all. Come on. Come on. Alright, you can see I got it all the way down here. Get my clamp. Get that back in place here. Boy. Wiggle that in and we'll just tighten that up. Tighten them up good. The other one. Hiding over here. Same deal. Okay, good. Very good. All right, so we've tightened the bracket back up. We've got our elbows lined up and in. Got our hoses back together. Set this on here. Right like that. Remember when I took it apart, here's the stud. So we'll get that lined up first. And get that just started. Get it in the right. Put this one last bracket back on here. Okay. Just got to put the serpentine belt back on. Just going to tension this down. That's it. Just check a rounding, make sure our belt's in place everywhere. It is. It's done.
Well, that's about it. I have to put that shield back underneath, that little splash shield, refill the radiator, and then make sure nothing leaks for those 2 coolant elbows. I don't expect it to. It's not a difficult job, but it does take some time. It took me a couple of hours between swapping out that gasket on the back valve cover and doing those coolant elbows. It's just hard to get at stuff. A lot of that, and you see from the video that I couldn't even show most of it, you're just doing it blind. You're reaching back behind that back head,
pulling spark plugs, taking brackets off. Just you can't see anything when you're doing it. So it just takes a little bit of time. It's not very hard. If you have to do this, I hope it helps you out. If you like the video, subscribe below. Thanks for watching.